Blue Book Sherlock Holmes: A Study in Scarlet. Audiobook summary. A Study in Scarlet is the first novel to introduce Sherlock Holmes, the brilliant detective, and Dr. John Watson, his loyal friend and biographer, establishing one of the most iconic partnerships in literary history. Set in Victorian London and later shifting to the American West, the novel explores themes of justice, revenge, and human nature, blending detective fiction with elements of suspense, crime, and moral inquiry. The story begins with Dr. John Watson, a recently returned army doctor from Afghanistan, seeking affordable accommodation in London. Introduced through a mutual acquaintance to Sherlock Holmes, a highly intelligent and eccentric detective, Watson quickly becomes intrigued by Holmes's extraordinary powers of observation and deduction. Despite Holmes's aloof and sometimes enigmatic personality, the two men agree to share lodgings at 221B Baker Street, marking the beginning of their enduring partnership. The novel's main mystery revolves around a gruesome murder discovered in a dilapidated house in Brixton. Enoch Drebber, an American, is found dead, lying on the floor with no visible wounds. Nearby, a mysterious word, Rake, German for revenge, is scrawled on the wall in blood. The crime scene baffles the police, who are unable to explain the motive, suspect, or sequence of events. The complexity of the murder and the strange circumstances surrounding it draw Holmes into action. Holmes applies his meticulous methods of deduction, closely analyzing physical evidence, fingerprints, and chemical traces, demonstrating the scientific approach to crime detection that would become his hallmark. Through careful reasoning and observation, he reconstructs the events leading up to Drebber's death, establishing a sequence that points toward premeditated murder. Holmes's investigation reveals that the crime is not a random act, but the culmination of a deeply personal vendetta. The narrative then shifts to a flashback set in the American West, providing context for the murder. This section tells the story of John Ferrier and Lucy, early Mormon settlers in Utah, who are adopted by a group of Mormons after being rescued from the desert. Lucy grows up in the strict religious community, where she becomes the object of desire for Jefferson Hope, a young man devoted to her. When the leaders of the Mormon sect attempt to force Lucy into a marriage she does not consent to, tragedy strikes. Ferrier is killed, Lucy is coerced, and Hope vows vengeance. Jefferson Hope spends years meticulously planning his revenge against those responsible for the suffering of Lucy and her father. He follows Drebber and his accomplice, Joseph Stangerson, from America to London. The murder of Enoch Drebber in Brixton is the execution of this long-awaited vengeance. Rake serves as a cryptic clue, reflecting Hope's desire for justice and the intertwining of personal grief with moral retribution. Back in London, Holmes continues to piece together the investigation. Utilizing his skills in disguise, surveillance, and reasoning, he identifies Jefferson Hope as the perpetrator. The detective confronts Hope, who openly confesses to the murderers, explaining the motivation rooted in love, loyalty, and revenge. He justifies his actions as the fulfillment of a promise to Lucy and her family, framing the story as a moral exploration of justice and retribution. Tragically, Hope dies of an aortic aneurysm shortly after his capture, emphasizing the inevitability of mortality even in the pursuit of vengeance. A Study in Scarlet introduces many elements that would become hallmarks of the Sherlock Holmes canon. Holmes's analytical methods, attention to minutiae, and deductive reasoning contrast with the more conventional approaches of the London police. Watson's narrative perspective provides insight into Holmes's intellect while maintaining a human, empathetic viewpoint. The novel blends suspenseful detective work with a psychological exploration of motive, crime, and morality, illustrating the profound impact of human passions and past grievances on present events. The novel also explores broader themes, such as the clash between rationality and superstition, the consequences of unchecked ambition and fanaticism, and the moral complexities of revenge versus justice. Doyle's storytelling combines meticulous detail, vivid characterization, and careful plotting to create a narrative that challenges readers to follow Holmes's logic while remaining engaged in the unfolding mystery. Ultimately, A Study in Scarlet establishes Sherlock Holmes as a detective capable of extraordinary feats of reasoning, setting a foundation for the subsequent stories and novels that would cement his place in literary history. The novel's layered structure, intertwining Victorian London with the American West, provides both a thrilling narrative and a moral exploration of human behavior, making it a seminal work in detective fiction and a timeless classic. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel.